Well, for us, it's really an everyday conversation. I feel like here and there because we have to consider not just each other, not just even our environment, but our kids have to be considered as well. I think we try to make sure that we're being sensitive of each other's feelings. I have to be mindful that my wife is white, and I think we live in a society that's like, be colorblind. But the reality is my wife is white. So there are just some differences, whether that be culturally, whether that be how she speaks, even certain terminology that's just different than...
I think the other night I was like, what did you just say? Oh, I forgot you're white.
Damn,
like,
too black?
I have
too
no
black
idea.
My bad.
No idea what that means.
And so that's little stuff like on an everyday basis that we have to consider. When it comes to things that are happening socially in our country, we try to be mindful to not bring it here. And that sounds weird. We discuss it, but I don't want it to. I think, as with anything in a marriage, you don't want it to infringe on your relationship, And so we do talk through what it means for me to be a black man in America, what my fears are, what angers me, what frustrates me, how I feel. And Megan, sits and listens more.
Well, I listen because what do I have to say? Like, I'd rather listen and hear his perspective than share a perspective that is not correct because I don't live that,
But I think I try to be mindful to ask how she feels.
Probably like a couple weeks ago, it wasn't the last video posted, but the video before, he was just expressing on the video and to me about how he feels kind of almost stifled because I'm white and my family is white. He doesn't want to step on toes, he doesn't want to be offensive, that type of thing. My reaction to that was, I don't think that he should not talk and say how he feels for our sake. I would rather him express how he feels for real and then deal with the ramifications if somebody's offended, then him hold it in. I don't think that serves him and it doesn't serve us, because especially if it's something that we're doing, you know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing that I can think of the last time we talked.
I feel like I'm in this very strange place because I feel like I have to walk the line in between on either end of the spectrum of the conversation, whether that's the black side or the white side. Here's what's weird for me. What's weird for me is that sometimes I feel like I can't be black because I have white family. And so I almost feel like sometimes I can't enter into the conversation with black people because your wife is white, so you get the white pass. If that makes sense. And then on the other end, I have to be mindful with my white family whom I love to not be so pro-black, fight for my right, that I'm not offending and or pushing them away as well. I'm not looking to be victimized, but it's a very hard, I have to strike a balance. And so I have to figure out where to be honest. And I don't want to say not where to not be truthful, but I have to be mindful of other people's feelings as well, because I am walking a line in between two cultures that it's not easy. It's not easy to blur. You know what I mean? You're either black or white. There's no gray. But for real, it's a very interesting position to be in because I am black. I feel the aches and pains of my people. Interestingly enough, I want them to feel the aches and pains of my people. And I think that they do. It's taken some time, but I think that they do. It's just a very odd pair of shoes to walk in.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, like, it's hard for me to kind of navigate because I don't want to come across as, well, you're just pro-black because you're married to a black man, and everything that I'm saying is discounted because, well, she's just saying that because Jay told her to say that.
And she will get that.
Right. On the flip side, I also don't want to come across as I'm trying to be the white savior. Like, well, I'm just going to say all this stuff and maybe something will happen because I'm white and I'm just going to, it's hard to find the middle ground where I'm not offending black people and I'm not offending white people. But I'm white, but my husband's black. So it's just it's a hard line to kind of walk through. Interestingly enough, I think when you look at our kids, Caleb is the most black presenting. He's got the most, the hair, the skin is darker. He just is the most black presenting, but he's also the only boy. So I feel like, Chase, JL, they're so light that when they get older, they're going to be looked at as exotic. Even Devin, even though she's darker, they're going to get the exotic look. I think that Caleb, especially because, if he keeps his hair long and everything, he's going to be looked at as just another black man. And unfortunately, our country, it's a thug or, whatever this society sees black men as. So it scares me because I want to teach my son to be a leader. I want to teach him to be independent. I want to teach him to think on his own. But how do you teach him to do that with also teaching him to respect authority and to sometimes keep his mouth shut in situations that could present dangerous for him? So that is my fear. My fear is that I won't raise him in a way that will keep him alive.
I think for me, I struggle with the idea of him being labeled on any end of the spectrum. I struggle with people telling him who he is. I struggle with a culture that makes you choose sides, where he's not allowed to be multi-ethnic, but you need to choose. Like, are you black? Are you white? Kind of the who are you gonna serve mentality. I struggle with that. I still struggle with that. Like, even in reference to other people, I do fear for his life. That's a very real struggle. I want my son to know how to survive. You mentioned respect, specifically for authority and, being obedient. These are all things that we're trying to teach him at home. I don't know. I mean, he's my only son. So I struggle even there, even with the fact that, he's my only son. Not in some crazy way of well, if I lose my daughter, I still have another one, but he's my only son.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I have to protect him with my life. With everything in me. I have to shield him and guard him and make him ready for whatever is going to be thrown at him. I almost feel like, and take this for what it is, I almost feel like because my children are mixed with black and white, they're not good enough for either side. So I create my own lane for them. So I don't know. I don't know.
We haven't yet. At this point, he still says that daddy's brown and mommy's peach. So he recognizes the difference. But when he was,
it's just funny.
It is funny
because daughter they have colored day. Colored. That sounds so horrible. Day.
Color of the day.
Color of the day. And yesterday was brown, and I said she could take daddy.
No, but she took a Doc McStuffins doll. In her, we said, and Doc McStuffins has a white coat with purple, so she's not wearing brown, but she is brown. Yeah. So we let her take the doll because that's what she picked out. But that all came from when he was 3, he started asking, what color are you? What color is daddy? And I turned it back around on him. What color do you think I am? And he was learning his colors at that point. He said, well, you're kind of peach. And I was like, all right, what color do you think daddy is? He's brown. So I understand that time is coming close where we're going to actually have to sit down and have the conversation. To be honest, I have no idea what I'm going to say.
I think you asked specifically what we tell him about the times that we're living in. Absolutely.
I think we have to.
There's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that I would. I think being educated about Black history, being educated about American history is of a great necessity for him to know how to operate and even understand how to view life, you know? So yes, absolutely. I want him to know about what's happening today, but I want him to know about the civil rights movement and the good that it did. I want him to know about the bad and the ugly as well, but the good that it did. I really want to major there. So I do want him to know. I want to be the one to educate him. I want to be the one to help him know how to view what's happening right now, how to view police brutality, how to view racism, you know, how to view being stereotyped. I want to be the one to educate him. I don't want the school system to do that. I definitely don't want our culture, media to do that, because he would end up in a mess. I want to educate him. I want him to know. I wouldn't be waiting until he's 16. Probably by the time he's 10. So probably by the time he's 10, but with our son, it might be next year because he's a question asker. So yeah, absolutely. I want him to know. I want him to understand. I want him to be able to process it. I want him to feel. That's one of the things that I feel like we're missing in our culture right now, the ability to feel. Mm-hmm. I feel like media and our culture is robbing us of that because we're being told what to feel on one end or the other. I don't like that. I feel like everybody should be able to feel what it is that they feel and then figure out how to process that appropriately. You know? Messages from college kids who hollering, girls like, we love you, we go to LSU. You gotta do a show so we can come and you. This rap stuff is magic. I used to get called. I
think we're very intentional about when we talk. We have a lot going on in life right now, and so sometimes it's not appropriate or helpful for us to talk through emotionally charged issues. And so there are times when, you know, I'll say to him, like, Jay, did you see what happened? He's like, I don't want to talk about it right now. And so we kind of put it on the back burner until we feel it's a time where it'll be helpful to talk about and, you know, we can grow from it. I don't ever want to just talk about a situation, especially this, to just talk about it. My intention in talking about it is, what can I learn? How can I grow? What can I do? So just to sit down and talk about something just because something happened, how is that helpful? So just making sure that it's the appropriate time to talk is important for us. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I just say, okay, and I just wait. So, I mean, sometimes it'll be like, dang, I have this opinion right now. I have this thought right now, but, you know, most of the time it's just like, okay, we can talk later.
I think we have a mutual understanding of when it's a good time and when it's a bad time. For me, specifically with emotionally charged situations, even if it's not racial, but being that that's what we're talking about, there's a moment to just stop and just say, let me breathe for a minute and then we can talk. Let me breathe for a minute and kind of process what's happening in my own brain before I approach what's happening in your brain. That's what the media is not doing. Like, can I just have a moment, like just a minute, to even just process what the heck just happened? And then I can try to process your thoughts and opinions and point of view and all of that. And maybe I'll actually hear you. You know what I mean? And so I think for us, trying to deal with ourselves first and then, God, that would solve so many issues in America, wouldn't it? I want us to talk. I do want us to talk. But don't assume that every white person is out to get you. I know what that feels like. Believe me. But not everybody is your adversary. Not everybody is coming for your blood. Some people actually do care. Some people actually do want to understand. Some people just don't know how to get to that point. I want us to be able to feel, kind of goes back to what I was saying, but I want us to be able to feel and handle our feelings appropriately. I want us to know how to communicate in a way that is both bold and gracious. Bold in the sense that I'm not going to not say what I feel and what I see and what is true, but gracious in the sense that I still have respect for somebody else as a human being. Like, we're all still human beings. Other than that, feel how you feel, process through your feelings. Don't live in your feelings, though. Don't allow them to control everything that you see, but use your feelings to inform what you want to create as well. Use your feelings to inform the next movement you want to start, and not wait for somebody else to do that for you.
I would say get to know people of other cultures and not just one person. Everybody can say, oh, I work with a black person. Oh, my cousin's dating a Spanish guy. Like, everybody can say that. I'm saying befriend people of different cultures and then be quiet and listen. That's how I learned. You know, I grew up in the little white bubble and didn't believe in white privilege and didn't believe that racism existed, didn't believe that I had any racists in my family or in myself. And what opened my eyes was being around other people and listening and bringing him home, right? That's a whole nother story. We won't talk about that. But that's my encouragement. Go hang out with other cultures. Go to a black church. Go sit and listen and
dance with them.
Right, and be part of their service. And
black people go eat casserole.
No, but I think it's easier, especially, where we're living right now, I think it's easier for black people to be around white people, because most black people, when they go to work, it's mostly white people, or when they go to school, it's mostly white people, or wherever they're at, especially in county, I feel like there's a whole lot more white people than there are black people. So it's easy for black people to be around white people. White people have to go out of their comfort zone to intentionally be around and do life with black people. So I guess that's my advice. Go do life with black people, but shut your mouths and listen to their perspective.